another episode of Pit Lane Parlay. My name is host Mike Jokum. With me, I have my co-host back in the saddle, Jess Baker. And joining us for the first 15 minutes or so is Andretti Autosport driver for the 500, Stefan Wilson. Stefan, welcome. Thank you for a few minutes today. And Jess, welcome back this week.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. Thank you for a few minutes today. I'll dive right into it. I know your time is short today. I'll start it off, and then we'll turn it over to Jess. What does driving like a team for a team like Andretti Autosport in the Indy 500, with all of their success in the past 10 years, mean? Does it give you a little bit of a positive mind frame going into the big race?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their success over the last sort of 5 years, at least with the DW12 at Indy has been, really impressive. And I know going into the month that the car should hopefully, I know there's obviously been the aero kit changes, but should hopefully be in a good starting position for me to build on. And, I got 5 really great teammates who all got such huge experience at Indy. And I'm just hoping to tap into that and kind of go about my month of May, and execute on my behalf at the best I can. So it kind of gives you some confidence. It also puts a little bit of pressure on you, but I think that's a good thing. It's making me work even harder, in the gym, making sure I'm ready. And the nice thing is that, getting that deal done back in October, it's given me a lot of time to prepare. This is the most prepared I've ever been, going into the race.
Sure. Before I'm going to steal a question here before Jess jumps in. Will you get to be part of the testing at Indianapolis next week?
I won't be. No, my program only really covers the oval part of the month, and unfortunately doesn't get to include the open test. It's next Tuesday, I believe. So I'll still be in Indy. I'm actually obviously based in Colorado now, but I'll be heading back to Indy next Monday to really be with the team on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So wish I was out there, but unfortunately not this time.
Sure, understandable. Jess, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, so Stefan, I'm not sure if you've listened to us before or not, but Mike takes the boring racing questions, and I take the fun, entertaining questions. So I have one question that has kind of taken off all the way to in the form of a T-shirt now. But if I were to give you a 400-pound block of cheese, whatever kind of cheese you want this week, I don't even care what kind of cheese, what would you do with it?
Wow, that's a really creative question. I've never been asked that one before. What would I do? I mean, that's a lot of cheese, 400 pounds. I mean, maybe just make the biggest queso bowl ever and just have a huge queso feast with a bunch of friends. That's a lot of cheese. You're gonna need at least 1,000 people to eat that much queso there.
For sure, because I definitely know I wouldn't want to eat that much.
Yeah,
I have a great idea.
Impressive.
You donate to one of the Driven to Save Lives type sponsors, and you get an invite to the queso party. I think we have a winning strategy right there.
There you go. Yeah. Or you could make pizza with it. I guess you could make a ton of pizzas with that.
I don't know. I might like that idea better.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea better, actually. I mean, obviously pizza and queso are not really on the diet right now, but come June, I can eat the pizza again. So it'd have to be June 1st onwards.
Great answer. So I think this is a pretty easy question. Have you had any chance to drive any sort of simulator for the new car, or talk to any of the drivers who have already tested at an oval to get any feel of what to expect come when you get on the track, May 15th or whatever that Tuesday is?
Yeah, no, I was down at Phoenix for the official test, the preseason test, and really got to spend a lot of time around the Andretti team. Talk to the four drivers quite a bit, and also a couple of the engineers, and just that's kind of the extent of it right now. I'm hoping to get a little bit more feedback and info next Tuesday when the open test happens at Indy. So everyone. The team at Andretti, they've not been on track in terms of at Indy yet with the new car. I know some of the Honda teams have already, but when they were doing the development work for the new Aero kits. So our team are just kind of really interested to get out there and kind of figure out what's new, what's changed, and what's the same. I think that's important to kind of figure out how the setup that they've had in previous years is going to adapt to this new Aero kit, how much it's changed.
Sure. Great answer. Jess, I'll turn it back over to you for another one of your comedy relief questions.
So, we talked about the cheese, and that's a big one. But...
Literally.
That's true, literally. So, question for you this time. What is your spirit animal and why?
That's a great question. My spirit animal, I think, I'm not sure I would call it maybe it's like my favorite animal in the kingdom, and that's a jaguar. It's the most powerful cat in the Americas. It's an apex predator, and I actually feature it on my helmet. There's a big old jaguar on the top of my helmet, so that would be that answer. Yeah.
So could we call you a cat person then?
Yeah, I'm an animal person, like dogs, cats, whatever. Like I like them all. So I wouldn't.
Very good. We here are also animal people.
Yeah,
that's great.
As most of the listeners know, at least my dog sits under me every week while I record, tries to jump into my lap, and last week, I don't know if anybody noticed, but actually knocked over my laptop when I was recording. I don't think it made any noise, but it definitely gave me a scare that I was going to ruin the recording. But anyway, touching on your sponsor and which is similar to Pippa Mann's new sponsor and Donate Life. Kind of continuing the legacy that, your brother and Brian Clausen left behind. What does it mean to have such a great sponsor, part of your program and on the side of your car for the month of May?
Yeah, no, it's really important to have good supporters that want to support what you're doing. And, I think the Indiana Donor Network, we started this campaign together, Driven to Save Lives, back in 2016. And as you touched on, it really started because of what Justin did at being a donor. He saved 5 lives being a donor, and that's really what started, this campaign. That story is obviously super powerful, and it's helped us register many more people that hadn't previously thought about organ donation or thought about registering as a donor. So, I think that's an important message. It's one that's obviously close to my heart, very close to my heart. It's very organic with me. I can talk about it. I can really, with other donor families, we share something very similar in common. That experience, you can't really... you can't imagine what it's like unless you've been through it. So me and other donor families, the Clausen family for sure, are really connected, and we're able to share that experience. And I think that helps, the grieving process as much as anything. And at the same time, hopefully it helps other donor families that are out there as well. And at the same time, raises hope for those people that are waiting on the national wait list. So, there's 115,000 Americans right now that are waiting for a life-saving transplant. And hopefully we can encourage more people to become donors, and we can impact that list.
Yeah, to find out more, go to the number 2 savelives.org. I don't have Pippa's Donate Life link open right now, but I'll get that at some point later in the episode here. So yeah, again, Driven, the number 2 savelives.org. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Jess.
Okay, so completely changing subjects here, of course. What is the worst movie you have ever seen?
Oh, that's a good one.
Wow.
I mean, there's quite a few candidates, but I think the one that stands out the most, just at the top of my head, would probably be Driven. Like, just because that was just, I mean, you know, it was just so insulting. Like, you know, as a driver, as someone that's a fan of the sport, and you're watching it going like, what were they like smoking when they made this film? Like, you know, like none of this is realistic at all. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Driven just because it's so I guess close to what we do and what we love, and it was a shame to see what, you know, could have been a great movie kind of spoiled with all these special effects and stuff.
That is a fantastic answer.
Yeah, definitely wasn't expecting it, but well done. Continuing on the racing, you know, if there's one track, whether it's on the schedule this year or not on the schedule this year, that you would love to, you know, be in an IndyCar for, what track would that be?
Obviously, Indy was always going to be the top of that list, but fortunately, I'm able to race that one. But outside of Indy would be Toronto. I really love that racetrack. I love that city, and you know, that was where I was able to get my first North American win. Was, you know, in Indy Lights back in 2011. So yeah, I'd love to experience what an IndyCar's like around there.
Yeah, I think I need to get up to Toronto this year. It's a fantastic track on TV, and Toronto is an amazing city to visit. I might have to figure that into my travel plans.
I do hope they're able to change the pit lane back to you know, the right side, and you know how it was for all those years. You know, because I think last year they changed the track up a little bit, and I just feel like it really spoiled the flow. That last section, you know, 9, 10, 11, just all flows together, and it's you know, it's just such an amazing couple of corners. I hope they're able to get that back.
Yeah, definitely agreed there. All right, so we're quickly running out of time here. Jess, I'll get you one more question, then I'll close it out.
Okay. I'll do another one that we typically do with everybody, just because I like to hear the varied answers. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, living, dead, whoever, your heroes, your family, whoever, who would it be?
Oh, I've got a great list. So it would, well, you know, like, I wish there was more than 3. For sure, Elon Musk. My second would be David Attenborough, which, if you don't know who he is, he's a narrator for a bunch of really amazing documentaries. He's British, and he's a bit of a national hero in England for all the work he's done. And then the third would be probably Enzo Ferrari.
Ooh, good answer.
Yeah, that is a good answer. I like it.
All right, yeah, Stefan. Before we let you go, I'll ask one more question. But if you want to plug, you know, any other sponsors or anything, everybody can find you on both Twitter and Instagram at Steph_Wilson. I knew I'd get that right at some point. But are there any other sponsors other than Driven to Save Lives that you would like to give a quick shout out to on here?
Yeah, obviously, you know, really want to encourage people to visit driventosavelives.org and learn a little bit more about the campaign this year. And if you're not already a donor, then, you know, you can sign up there if you choose to. And if you want to find out if you're a donor, it's really simple. You know, you take out your driver's license and you look out, and if there's not a heart on your license, then it means you're probably not registered. So go ahead and register on the DrivenToSaveLives.org website. Other than that, just want to thank GapGuard. They've been a loyal sponsor over the last couple of years, and I think we've got a couple of other sponsor announcements coming here in the next couple of weeks. So just follow along on social media, and we'll alert you of those new sponsors.
Cool. Great. Thank you very much. And last question. Your pick to win the 2018 IndyCar overall championship. Obviously, I know, your pick for the 500 is going to be yourself, hopefully. So I'm going to skip that question. Who's going to win it all this year? Are we going to see a repeat, or are we going to see it go back to somebody else?
I feel like it's going to go to someone else, just because I feel like St. Pete was so varied. I know every year it's always a new start of the season, but I feel like just overall, like it's just a new car, and like everyone's tackling it different. Like a lot of teams have stepped up. It looks like Schmidt-Peterson has made a huge advance over the winter. I think the talent, engineer-wise and driver-wise, is spread out around the series. I kind of feel like Rossi might be able to come up on top, because he obviously looked incredible at St. Pete. He looked really strong at the end of last year, and I think overall he seems to be very competitive, whether it's an oval or a street course or a road course. So it's kind of a wild one. It could happen or it could not, but my pick's going to be Rossi.
Do you think, if you were in Rossi's shoes in St. Pete, would you have tried that pass?
Yeah, I mean, he had to. I mean, I think looking at the stats, he made like 27 on-track passes at St. Pete, which the most of anyone. And the other 26 were clean. He's obviously racing to win the race. I mean, he had a great run on him and tried to make the move. I kind of fully respect that, and I think whoever you are, even if you're Wickens, I think you got to respect that. He's going to go and try for the win. At least he didn't do something dirty where he hit him from behind the last corner or something. I don't know. You kind of leave the gap open there, and you got to expect him to try and lunge it in when he's that close to you behind. I mean, if you're in Wickens' shoes, maybe you could have given more room. I think maybe if obviously Rossi was coming in too hot, so if Wickens just opened up the door and kind of gave him more room, Rossi would have probably slid wide, and Wickens could get back underneath him, or he could have, trying to get back at turn 4. But it's just kind of one of those things, racing incident, when two guys are racing as hard as that for the at the end of the race, racing for the win. You got to imagine that sometimes it's not going to work out.
Yeah, sure. Great answer. It's pretty much what I echoed last week. With that, I know your time is short, so we will we'll let you go. Again, thank you for joining for the first part of the show here. Best of luck in May, and look forward to seeing you out at the track.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on, and thanks for the great questions, and good luck for the rest of the show.
Thanks a lot, man. And thank you again to Stefan Wilson for joining us for the first 20 minutes here. Moving on, let's jump right into it. The big announcement that came out this week is the NBC TV package for 2019 on a 3-year deal. The majority, almost everybody I've seen has really been overall positive about the feedback. But Jess, I'll turn it over to you for your early thoughts before we kind of dive into the realm of the TV contract here.
I mean, if you're not excited about the TV contract, you're not paying attention. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm excited to be able to stream. I don't want to have to pay extra to be able to watch it on TV. I'm cheap. I kind of covered that before. So if I can pay just to stream IndyCar, I'm definitely jumping on board that. So I'm really, really excited. I also think they do great coverage. So I'm super, super stoked for this.
Yeah, very well said. I think the NBC team from Lee Diffie, who's done some races, and Anders Krohn, who was part of it last year, but I think is IndyCar Radio now. Katie Hargett, in the pit lane. Jan Beekes has done some NBC work. Robin Miller, even though he's a little old and crotchety at times, is still a great figure to have there. Who else am I missing? Paul Tracy. He always speaks his mind, which I love. Not everybody loves Paul Tracy, but he speaks his mind. Even behind the broadcast booth, even if it's not the popular thing to say. So props to him for that, and should be exciting. And I think even more exciting, like you said, is the ability to now live stream everything. We put it on our Twitter page about last evening, the NBC coverage model. I'm going to pull it back up here for everybody. You can find it on our Twitter at Pit Lane Parlay, but you can also find it on Katie Hargett's Twitter and just about everybody else who works for NBC. All races, practices, qualifying, probably some tests they do will all be either on TV or streamed online, NBCSports.com, the NBC Sports app, or NBC Sports Gold, which is available on iPhone, Android, Chromecast, Apple TV, and all those sort of streaming programs. And I think that's awesome. I've heard some mixed reviews about the NBC Sports app, so I think I might give it a test run this summer, maybe with the Tour de France package. But what do you think about NBC Gold kind of taking the place of YouTube and racecontrol.indycar.com?
Well, I know everybody's kind of, I don't really know if upset is the right word. They're
concerned.
They're concerned because they're gonna have to fork out money, and they don't know the first year what they're gonna get. Unfortunately, that's part of being an early adapter to things. You kind of take a risk, but honestly, I mean, what's $50, what's $75 in the grand scheme of everything? I think most people who listen to us spend way more than $50 or $75 on IndyCar in general in a year anyways. So I, for one, think it's great. I don't mind having to pay for it. I think that the streaming that they gave us before was just because everything was so up in the air, and they were still trying to keep those of us who have been fans for a long time around. And I think they're doing the right thing, honestly. I can't complain about I'm going to have to pay for it anymore.
Yeah, and, doing quick math here, thanks to my calculator, if you pay $75 a year for IndyCar's NBC Gold offering, which probably won't even be $75. The Premier League for soccer was only $50 this year. That's $6.25 a month. I think we can all spare $6.25 a month in order to support IndyCar. But should be. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so if you did the math, since you obviously have a calculator up, what is it for the season months? Because obviously it's not every month, and people talk about that. So it's probably, like $10, $15 a month for the season?
If we're going to keep the IndyCar season at 6 months, it'd be $12.50 a month still, which really isn't that bad.
I mean, that's like 2 Starbucks, right? Like, that's not a big deal.
And the other thing that's good is NBC Sports Gold will have more than just testing, practices, qualifying, and races. It'll have archived races, probably old races. That is similar to how YouTube has. We might even see some sort of IndyCar America show similar to the NASCAR America show that IndyCar does. And NBC has already said, maybe we'll get a big name who's retired to, host now and then, similar to, Jeff Gordon does some NASCAR stuff every now and then. The possibilities there are endless, and, should have everybody excited. A couple extra bucks a month to, gain access to, some more IndyCar content is never a bad thing. Especially when you consider that NBC has said, IndyCar and us in NBC are going to find IndyCar a title series sponsor for 2019 and beyond together. having the Giant and NBC help you find a title sponsor, I can't see how it's a bad thing for the series. It's again, we can add it in Jay Fry we trust, and I guess now and in Mark Miles we trust to the hashtag list here. It's can only be good to have NBC on your side.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with you at all on that. I think it's only going to bring positive.
If we can get some more people watching, a year down the line, you get more people in the seats, and it. Thank you, Jay Fry. Thank you, Mark Miles. This is exactly as Robin Miller said. This is the prayer that IndyCar needed. They will have 8 races on NBC, and the other 8 races will be on NBCSN still. And obviously, there's still plenty of details to be worked out. Who is going to be the commentating crew? Will anybody come over from ABC? Will it be the same NBC crew that's doing the NBCSN races this year? Still plenty of questions. We don't have the answers. IndyCar doesn't have the answers yet. Jay Fry doesn't have the answers yet. I've read all of the Twitter comments and Facebook comments in the past 24 hours since the announcement came out, and they keep saying, when we know, you'll know. And I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt here, because every announcement that has come out this year that I can remember has really shown the upward trend of the sport.
Yeah, I can't think really honestly of a single super negative thing. We talked about a few weeks back about the whole bumping versus not bumping, what was going on, but that was just hearsay.
Thank you, Mark Miles.
Yeah, I honestly, I really have no recollection of anything that I would call super negative this year, and it's like a breath of fresh air, honestly.
Yeah, continuing the trend of the off season where there weren't many quiet weeks, there's always some sort of exciting news coming out. This obviously takes the cake this week. I saw a question on Twitter: what's the difference between NBC Sports Gold and the NBC Sports app? If you have you pay for cable television with NBCSN and whatever other HBOs and all that fun stuff you might want. If you have that, you can download the NBC Sports app, and it's part of your paid cable TV package, and you'll be able to get the content there as well. So listen, great things there, and moving on to some speaking of live streaming. Tomorrow, Friday, the IndyCar will be testing at the Indy Motor Speedway road course, I believe. Yes, road course. That is all day tomorrow, but is not live streamed, I believe. But I saw Aaron tell it's for Bilardi will be testing in the Schmidt-Peterson Hinchcliffe car for part of the day tomorrow. So, good on him to get the shot there. And then next week, Jess's favorite driver will be returning to Indy for the first time since 2011. Tuesday the 27th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. live streamed is the IndyCar Open test on the Oval, and the 28th is the Rookie Orientation and Veteran Refresher Day. I don't know who will be going on what day, if you'll get some of the veterans doing both days, which I would hope so, especially for somebody like the aforementioned Danica Patrick, who hasn't raced in IndyCar in 7 years. Hopefully she can get out there for both days and get some good practice in. Jess, will you be tuning in while you're at work?
I'm going to try. I mean, I obviously don't know for sure that I'll be able to, but I'm definitely going to try. I can tell you where I'll be taking my lunches at, because my workplace currently is only about maybe 6 miles, probably not even 6 miles from the Speedway. So I'll drive over, stay for, 35, 45 minutes and head back to work. But I'm definitely excited to see cars on the track. I'm a little disappointed that it's going to be cold. But at this point, being in Indiana, it is what it is.
Yeah, we had a foot of snow here yesterday in the Philadelphia area. I am considering moving somewhere warm in the very near future at this point if we get another March snowstorm. But soon it will be May, and soon the racing will get exciting here. We have 3 races coming up in April at Phoenix, then Long Beach, and then Barber down in Alabama. Then a week off, and then we kick off the month of May. So it's really going to get jam packed here in the very near future. Speaking of NBCSN, the live streams next week will be commentated by Kevin Lee, who's on NBCSN now, and then IndyCar Radio will have Jake Query and Dave First as usual. So exciting times there. I know some guys tested at Barber the other day. I don't think there was a live stream. Shocker, Helio Castroneves comes back to test there before he gets in the car for the Indianapolis Grand Prix and lays down the second fastest lap of the entire test session. I guess we shouldn't be surprised there. He's still a hell of a driver.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really shock me at all. I guess it was more shocking that he didn't lay down the fastest lap.
Yeah, I know the weather was rough there, and teams didn't get as much testing in as they wanted to. So I wonder how much that played a factor into. There were some very wide lap times. With the Newgarden about 12 seconds faster than I can't even remember who's towards the bottom of the chart. I actually think it was Robert Wickens, but I'm sure come race weekend you'll see everybody much closer together if the weather holds up.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. And God, his car, right? Like, his car looks good.
Oh,
that's all I got to say.
that yellow Pennzoil, always looked good. I thought it looked good even in the last couple years in the God, when did he run that? He ran that a couple times in the DW12 Aero Kit era.
Yeah, but now, it looks good.
Now it has to be a contender for at least top 5 liveries for the Indy 500.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I was really glad to get to see it. I mean, obviously, I wasn't there or anything like that, but the pictures just wow.
Yeah, well done, Team Penske, on putting the right livery on Helio's car when he gets back in the car in mid-May. So moving on, a couple. Was it just one driver announcement this week? Pippa Mann in the Dale Coyne Donate Life car. So similar to who we just talked to a couple minutes ago, Stefan Wilson in the Donate to Save Lives car. DonateLife.net will be on the side of Pippa Mann's car. I believe it has more to do with organ, eye, and tissue donation, and I think Stefan Wilson's is kind of just all-encompassing, donation if something were to happen to you. So check it out. It's donatelife.net, and as we mentioned earlier, it's driven the number 2 savelives.org for Stefan Wilson's sponsor. Check those out. I think we know what to expect from Pippa Mann. She's going to be consistent, mid-pack, maybe not. Maybe she won't blow us away, but do you think she can come in and surprise us with this new car? And that will be our Twitter question of the week. Will we get a surprise from the ever, consistent Pippa Mann?
I think, honestly, that her consistency will help her, which is shocking for me to say, and I've said it before. I have nothing against Pippa. I just don't think that she is the best. But I honestly, her consistency with this new Aero Kit, I think honestly will just help her. I don't think it's going to hurt her at all. I think, once she gets the first few laps out of the way, if she can get some clean laps, she's going to start picking people off just because, being consistent over and over and over again is going to help her reel people in. Do I think she's going to come out and win the Indy 500? No, unfortunately, I don't. But do I think she could finish mid-pack or higher? Yeah, I do, as long as she can keep her nose clean.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Always consistent, never flashy, and on a year where this is the first year for this Aero kit at Indy, you might get some guys getting a little too aggressive and getting caught up with each other. And if she can keep her nose clean, who knows what can happen. But I don't think we mentioned in last week's episode, speaking of the Indy 500, AJ Foyt surviving a second attack by killer bees. I thought the article was written by The Onion at first because I just didn't believe the headline. But then you read the article that this man at 83 is still doing work on his ranch in Texas, gets attacked by killer bees, runs into his car, spends a day in the hospital, and then lights the killer bees on fire with 15 gallons of fuel. If that's not AJ Foyt, I don't know what is. And I think we need to get AJ Foyt dumping fuel in a farm on a t-shirt design. I'm not that artistic, but if somebody out there wants to make that shirt, I will gladly add it to our online store.
We definitely also need, if we're gonna have AJ dumping fuel on bees and catching it on fire on the shirt, we need some kind of like ridiculous catchphrase to go with it. Like, I mean, it's got to have something like bzz in it. I don't know. So
well done.
Give me a week or so to think about this, and maybe I will figure out some great catchphrase that is real good and catchy, and we can get somebody with some artistic ability to draw, because I know I definitely don't have any artistic ability, so it's not going to be me.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to be me. If anybody out there has any fun catchphrases for AJ Foyt lighting a bunch of killer bees on fire, please tweet us at Pit Lane Parlay. You'll probably get some pretty good answers out there. I'm sure somebody's a little bit more creative than I am. Again, just in case you forgot, you can listen to this show every Friday from 3:15 to 4:15 on wildfireradiosports.com. They'll have our online merchandise store available soon. They have an iPhone app, an Android app, and all that fun stuff. But moving on, Jess, is there anything you'd like to touch on?
No, I mean, you touched on the topic I was wanting to get to, which was Pippa. I think that is very commendable of her to run Donate Life as a sponsor. I started to read her article about Brian Clausen and how it all tied together, and
it's a tough
frankly,
one to read. It's a tough one.
I was a little bit. I couldn't breathe. There might have been some dust or something in my eyes. I don't know. So yeah, I'm very glad that she is doing that. And not to knock Susan G. Komen at all. I think that was a fantastic partnership they had. But I think this one is so much more personal, and I think that is going to speak more to the fans than anything else could.
Yeah, I think that's I couldn't agree more on that one. I read the article. Thankfully, I work from home, so nobody saw me reading the article. But well done by Pippa to pen the whole thing. I'm sure it's probably very tough to write something like that. And Donate Life is a great cause if you can get out there and register yourself for organ donation. Please do. I know it's on my license. So add it to yours, and don't ask to see my license because my license picture is the worst thing imaginable. But moving on, we have Phoenix coming up in just over 2 weeks here, and I've heard some Phoenix chatter, thinking that the race is just going to continue like it is, and I wanted to bring it up, before we, get to Phoenix, because there's so much positivity, in the series right now. I read that Phoenix, or whatever it's called now, ISM Raceway, was going to use one of the one of those machines to kind of add in or rubber in a little bit more of a second lane there up high, and I think that's exactly what they need to do in order to, one, keep IndyCar, and two, to make IndyCar happy. If this race doesn't work out this year, we may not see Phoenix again, and it's definitely one of those iconic tracks. Do you think that they should add rubber in, or do you think they just let the guys race and see how it is with this new aero kit?
Well, I am going to disagree with you on this one. Just because we don't know what this Aero Kid's going to do there. So far in the testing and obviously at St. Pete, things were very racy and there was a lot of back and forth. So it's hard to want to see kind of a manufactured line when we don't know what the car is going to do itself. I think it would be remiss of IndyCar to force there to be two lines when maybe they could get two lines anyways, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it does make sense. I'm definitely, going to be tuning into that April 6th practice. I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Eastern, where the cars will get on the track for the first time and see how aggressive everybody is. I think that'll be a big telltale sign for the weekend and how it goes. I'm obviously, for the sake of the discussion here, going to go with they should go ahead and rubber it in now to take away any worry of it being a one-lane race. But I can certainly understand your point of view there on that one.
Yeah, I mean, let's just see what the cars can do. I mean, obviously, if you run a practice and it's the same old, then yeah, let's rubber in a line. But I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping for too much out of these cars.
Listen. I don't think you're hoping for too much. I thought the St. Pete race, from a racy perspective, was one of the best on a street course that I can remember in a while. So it's it's definitely possible. Going off of my own, I tested it out on the fancy iRacing setup last night, and it is a lot more fun to drive around Phoenix than it used to be. But then again, I'm not a professional, so what do I know? But maybe iRacing is kind of accurate. We'll save that for another week. Maybe we'll get some sort of one of the drivers who iRaces a lot. I know Sage Karam is on there a lot, and a couple other guys are on there quite often. So we are coming up now on just about the end of the episode. Jess, did you want to start your pitfall?
Sure, yeah. This is kind of a weird one, and I'm being very critical here, so to kind of take this one with a grain of salt here. There was an article written on Racer. It was on Wednesday. You guys have to forgive me for clearing my throat a million times. My allergies are killing me. Anyways, Gateway is doing a lap sponsorship program for both NASCAR and IndyCar. And I'm cool with that. The only thing that I'm not a giant fan of is that they are kind of saying how innovative and like this has never happened before and this is so great and you get all these perks and benefits. It's looking like you get, let me see here, I'm going to read directly from the article. You get a souvenir pin, a hard card, social media shout out, a name with your lap number on the jumbo screen, appreciation day activities, yada, yada, yada. The list just goes on and on and on. And it's a little bit crazy to me because, well, Indy has been letting fans and businesses sponsor laps for years. I was a sponsor for the GP race for every race up until this year. And this year, we as a podcast are sponsoring a lap in the 500. So the fact that they're acting like this is some new thing and nobody's ever thought of this idea is a little bit crazy to me, but I appreciate the fact that they're doing it and they're doing it cheap for fans who want to participate.
Yeah, I think I can't argue with that one. I'll jump into mine. Mine, I had to spend far too much time reading through Reddit comments, but there's a. Let me look up his Twitter here while I'm talking about it. There is a YouTube vlogger out there. I don't know what you exactly call that one there. Somebody correct me because I'm definitely wrong. His name is David Land. You can find him on Twitter at dland91. Does some YouTube videos. For the most part, they're fantastic. Good IndyCar chat. And he was talking about the NBC crew for announcing their races next year, what his thoughts were about the overall TV contract, and I think for the most part, I didn't listen to all 19 minutes of it. Sorry, David, but it was pretty accurate. So you're probably wondering now, what am I about to make fun of, or rip on here? I'm about to rip on the people who say that Lee Diffie should not be an IndyCar announcer simply because he's Australian, and that is not the demographic IndyCar should have if they want to be successful. One, I don't particularly get the comment. Are you making fun of Lee Diffie? Are you saying, are you one of those gung-ho, IndyCar should only have American drivers and American announcers and American sponsors and American whatever?
America.
Exactly. Bros sort of stuff. Then take out your American flag shorts and wear them proudly. But I don't get it. I think you should want the best announcer, whether he's British, Australian, South African, American, wherever the heck he's from. You want the best racer to represent IndyCar the best. So, for the people who are saying it shouldn't be somebody based on the fact he's Australian or the fact that he might, do F1 races or, something, to quote Game of Thrones, shame. For everybody who watches it, they'll probably get that one. If you don't, I'm just going to say, shame on you, Mr. Reddit commenter. I had to read a lot of Reddit comments to get to that one, and then I was frustrated that I spent an hour reading Reddit comments. But I guess that goes to show you that I could not sleep last night. So wrapping things up again, I mentioned the show is available Fridays, 3:15 to 4:15, wildfireradiosports.com, or on their iPhone app or their Android app or their website or iTunes and all the other fun stuff. Thank you again to Stefan Wilson for joining us. Is there anything else with the NBC or anything else we didn't mention, Jess?
Not that I can think of, but I do want to say thank you again to Stefan Wilson also. It was so much fun. I'm glad you came on, and I really, really dug some of your answers.
Yeah, I think Stefan's answers, despite being put on the spot with all of them, were really creative, and I hope I get invited to the queso party or the pizza party, in the near future, or whenever he happens to get 400 pounds of cheese at his disposal. So again, next week we'll have a very special guest. His name has been mentioned many, many times on this show.
Like every episode.
Like almost every episode, almost as much as Danica, maybe even more than Danica in the last
Probably
handful.
more than. He has his own hashtag.
Yes, he has his own hashtag. If that's not giving it away, you're going to have to stay tuned. Next Friday morning it'll be released. I'm excited for that one. Thank you to everybody, the IndyCar PR team who helped me set that up. And with that, Jess, I will let you sign it off.
And guys, keep your lug nuts tight.